Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our ordinary meeting of council on the 17th of January 2023. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year. As the meeting chair, I give my consent for this open council meeting to be streamed live, recorded and published online. Anyone who is invited to read out a question or a presentation will be recorded, and their voice, image and comments will form part of the live stream and recording. The chair and or the CEO have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. The stream will stop prior to the closed section of the meeting and will recommence for the conclusion of the meeting. The public is able to view this live stream via our website at www.pyrenees.vic.gov.au. Should technical issues prevent the continuation of the stream, the meeting will be adjourned until the issue is resolved, or the meeting will be postponed to another time and date in accordance with council's meeting procedures and governance rules. Please stand for the opening prayer. Heavenly Father, we ask you to give your blessing to this council, direct and prosper its deliberations to the achievement, the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of the Pyrenees Shire. Amen. Please be seated. We acknowledge the people past and present of the Wadawurrung, Dja Dja Wurrung, Eastern Maar and Watchabalek tribes whose land forms the Pyrenees Shire. We pay our respects to the customs, traditions and stewardship of the land by the elders and people of these tribes on whose land we meet today. There are no apologies. Any notices of disclosure of interest by councillors or officers? No disclosures. Confirmation of the previous minutes. The minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on 13th of December 2022 and the closed meeting of council held on the 13th of December 2022 as previously circulated to councillors be confirmed. Moved Councillor Vance, seconded Councillor Keogh. All those in favour? Carried. Any business arising? None, thank you. Public participation, question time. Members of the public are encouraged to ask questions of council at ordinary council meetings. Members of the public may attend the meetings in person to verbally ask a question. They may members of the public who are unable to attend in person can participate in question time by submitting their questions in writing, either online through council's website, by mail or hand delivered. A person can ask a maximum of 2 questions at any one meeting on any topic, and the questions and responses shall not exceed 5 minutes. Questions are to be received by 12 noon on the day of the meeting. Questions are read by the chairperson during public participation. The chairperson or councillor or council officer to whom the question is referred may immediately answer the question or take the question on notice for the next ordinary meeting. Public submissions. Members of the public may present a submission to council in the period immediately following public question time. Members of the public may attend the meeting in person to verbally make a submission. Members of the public who are unable to attend in person to make a submission on an agenda item may do so in writing, either online through council's website, by mail or hand delivered. The chair will allocate a maximum of 5 minutes to each person who wishes to address council. Submissions are to be received by 12 noon the day of the meeting. There will be no discussion or debate with the public attendees. However, council may ask questions for clarification. Councillors may ask questions for clarification of the attendee. Is there anyone wishing to make a public submission or ask a question? Trevor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mine is not a question, but a pass on response. I've placed 3 issues in the CARS program last quarter, and I'm absolutely thrilled with the response time. It's the best it's ever been, and I think the council needs to know it. Both the 3 issues, including one around Mr. Clark, Councillor Clark, have been absolutely outstanding. And also a reminder, it's Chinese New Year this Saturday. It's the actual official day. So thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Item 10, items for noting. Councillors. Move Councillor Clark, seconded Councillor Ferrari. Any questions or discussion, councillors? Being none, all those in favour? Carried. Item 13, petition, Evoca River free camping. Mr. Gowans.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide council with details of a petition in support of free camping on the Evoca River Flat area. The Mayor has been presented with a petition addressed to Pyrenees Shire Council from residents and visitors to Pyrenees Shire supporting continued free camping on the Evoca River Flat. The petition received contained a reported 763 signatures stating the following. We, the undersigned, support continued free camping on the Evoca River Flat area from North Street to the Lions Park inclusive. Before making any decision in respect to the matter, Council should have regard to the Pyrenees Shire Council Governance Rules 2022, section 4.8.3, which states that no motion may be made on any petition until the next council meeting after that at which it has been presented. It is normal practice for council to seek a report to be prepared by the relevant officer for a subsequent meeting addressing the merits of the issues contained in the petition. At the December 2022 council meeting, council received a petition relating to camping and the Evoca River Flat area. And council sought that the matter be investigated and a report brought to a future council meeting. Given that both petitions received have overlapping issues, it would be appropriate for council to consider both in a single report. Therefore, it's the officer recommendation that council receives the petition and that council requests a report to be presented to a future meeting of council on the matter contained in the petition.
Thank you, Mr. Gowans. Councillors, we moved Councillor Vance, seconded Councillor Clark. Any discussion, councillors? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've just got a couple of questions of Mr. Gowan, if I could. Mr. Gowan, are you aware anecdotally of camping as far as North Street? It's not, which is quite significant. It's a fair way up.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. I'm not aware of that being predominantly used. Ultimately, the main area that I've observed camping in has been predominantly both the Lions Park and the area between the Pyrenees Highway to the crossing that goes to the Rec Reserve. That's the predominant area.
And the second one, I assume you'll be talking with Delp as the land managers in this context?
That is correct, Councillor Clark, that the predominant area that is used for camping is managed by Delp. And I will be liaising with Delp on the elements of the petition that relate to them.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Any other discussion, councillors? All those in favour? Carried. Rate cap 2023-24. Ms. Bramwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is to advise council on the rate cap and to seek determination as to whether an increased variation should be sought on that cap for the 2023-24 financial year. A rate cap of 3.5% has been set for all Victorian councils applicable for the 2023-24 financial year. Although 3.5% represents the highest cap since the introduction of the fair goes rate system in 2015, at 57% of the current inflation rate, this will continue to limit councils' capacity to increase revenue and reinforces its dependence on external grants to achieve target asset renewal rates and a continued lack of capacity to increase staff numbers beyond maintaining existing levels. The current enterprise the current enterprise agreement also expires on the 30th of June this year, with renewal negotiations expected to commence soon and likely to see pressure on council to award a level of salary increases that eases the inflationary impacts on its workforce and achieve real wages growth. It's expected that the inflation rate is likely to peak at around 7.75% in the last quarter, with a release date of 25th January, whether that's true, and should gradually fall over 2023-24. However, the forecast for Q4, which is this year, 2023, is still going to be 3.5%, which remains at the cap level. This leaves council having to absorb costs above the current rate cap of 1.75% during the first half of this year and 3.5% during the second half of the calendar year. In addition to inflation, there are other factors impacting on council's long-term financial sustainability that demonstrate the need for additional revenue in order to maintain current service levels. And there's more detail of those in the body of the report. Councils may apply to the Essential Services Commission for a higher rate cap, with the notification of intent requested by the 30th of January and an application, if that is the determination of council, required by the 31st of March this year. Council must take the Essential Services Commission guidance on higher cap applications into account when determining whether to apply for a rate cap increase. And in the past, an important consideration for council has also been the financial impact on the community and the ability of ratepayers to pay. Officers have detailed relevant factors regarding any decision to apply for a higher rate cap in the body of the report, so I won't detail those. Council officers deliberated on the above factors with the following conclusions and recommendations for the council. Number one, notwithstanding the very real widening of the financial sustainability for council, sustainability gap for council over the next 12 months, it's not likely that the community view would support a rating level in the next financial year of higher than the rate cap set, because our community and ratepayers are also subject to the strictures and impacts from the higher inflation rates forecast, reducing their affordability to pay. And as the rate cap for the next financial year is the highest since the system was introduced, the community would consider this enough to enable council to continue good fiscal management. If the forecast inflation rate slowing materialises towards the latter half of 2023 and continues in next calendar year, some of our financial benefit from the higher rate cap may be seen by council in 2024. If the inflation rate slows significantly towards the end of 2023, it's likely that the rate cap for 2024-25 financial year will revert to more normal levels, for which council should be better prepared to consider future rate cap increase applications. And to this end, it's proposed that the budget preparation engagement that we'll undertake shortly should include frank community conversations about long-term financial sustainability and potential service impacts. If council chooses not to proceed with an application for a rate cap variation, it is recommended that council increases its advocacy effort with government to ensure other means of funding to address the sustainability challenges outlined in this report are met. The risk implications with rate capping is that council's long-term financial sustainability has already been identified as a significant risk for the Pyrenees Shire Council and is clearly demonstrated in the long-term financial plan and in council strategic risk register. 2023 sees additional risks arising through enterprise bargaining negotiations likely to seek real wages growth over the life of the next enterprise agreement, which remains difficult under a rate capping environment. The annual rate cap for 2023-24, as I've said in conclusion, has been announced at 3.5%. And although the highest since rate capping began, this remains below inflation levels, and annual expenditure increases forecast for the financial year, adding to the council's long-term financial sustainability risk. And the officer's recommendation is that council notes the 3.5% rate cap declared for the 2023-24 financial year, that having considered relevant reasons for raising additional revenue to meet the service and asset needs of the community, the requirements set by the Essential Services Commission and other issues raised in this report do not make application to the Essential Services Commission for a higher rate cap for the next financial year, and undertakes community engagement as part of the budget preparation process this year to seek the views of the community on long-term financial sustainability, impacts of rate capping on service delivery, and potential financial modelling and solutions for the future, including potential for future rating increases above the applicable rate cap, and what sustainable service levels might be acceptable to our community. And that council seeks an urgent meeting with the local government minister to further highlight the significant sustainability challenges outlined in this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bramwell. Councillors. Moved, Councillor Clark, seconded Councillor Ferrari. Any questions? Yes. Councillor Clark.
Just more a comment.
Comment?
Mr Mayor, I think this is very reasonable in the context of what council does and what council has to do every year in terms of thinking. It doesn't recover where we're at this year. As we all know, inflation's around about 7%, and it won't recover that. And that money's gone in the context of council. In fact, if we look at our time since rate capping, council has got around about 10% less money to spend than it had when this started in 2016. If you want to understand what 10% is, it's about $2 million less in real terms that we've got to spend every year than we had at that point in time. To understand the recommendation in the community context, I think you need to look at each of the four bits. The first bit says we're noting the 3.5 today. That's what the government has given us as the upper limit, but it'll be the budget process that will determine whether we go to that limit or not. The second part is that we're not going to apply for a variation to go above 3.5. And that's pretty clear in that context. And I think that's fair in a community context, because if we're doing it tough, we're certainly not alone in the context of the community, and we recognise that as a council in that sense. Part three is that we're going to need to have some difficult conversations pretty soon about what we do provide. And we do think there'll be some things that you won't see, but there'll be some things possibly that you will see that council may not be able to do in the future. And I think the fourth bit is we're not in this journey alone, and we need to make sure the minister understands the situation for us out here in the bush.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to reiterate again what Councillor Clark has said, I think we're not making a decision tonight, but there's a lot of decisions that will have to be made. And we just need to recognise, as you said, we're all doing it tough this year more than ever. Any other year, you know, ratepayers have really been hit harder than ever with inflation, with bills and wage increases not matching living costs. So we just cannot, expect that to come from our ratepayers. And we need to sing this loud and clearly to the minister to understand us to be able to meet those costs. Furthermore, we've got every ratepayer is in that situation, but farmers have also been hit dramatically this past season. Many are just trying to get through to the next year. And furthermore, we're coming out of COVID. So it's been a very challenging time for all our ratepayers. So we will be taking note of that and considering that when we do come to the time and we consider those, what we're going to do with our budget and be able to work within our means. But happy too that we're not applying above that rate cap. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Thank you, councillors. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Proposed road naming, Holding Lane, Glenpatrick and Davis Court, Snake Valley. Ms Bramwell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is to seek adoption by council of unique road names for 2 roads that are currently unnamed and need to be added to the Pyrenees Shire Public Road Register. 2 unnamed roads are currently being used as shared driveways. This means that several properties have addresses allocated from the nearest road, the nearest named road on council's road network at the same point, which gives a general location for access, but is not ideal. Council planning officers identified that as further development occurs along the currently unnamed roads, creating unique road names and addresses is critical for public safety and the delivery of goods and services to those properties. To provide proper addresses for the properties requires council to determine that the roads are required for public access and add these roads to its public register, which in turn requires the roads to have unique identifying names. To identify appropriate names for these 2 roads, a short list of historic landholder names was identified from a mid-1900s parish plan, which is one of the sources that council uses to identify new road names. And these were checked against the principles in the naming rules, which reduce the possible names available and come up with the 2 that are put forward. In both cases, engagement was undertaken with immediate landholders, and they were advised in writing that council was proposing a name for their road and requested any objections. Landholders were also advised that if their property entrance was along the currently unnamed road, their address would change once the road name was allocated. In both cases, council received no formal objections or responses, and only 1 verbal contact was received to clarify the context of the letter. So the 2 roads that are being proposed for renaming or for naming this time is road 1 is the proposed name is Holding Lane in Glenpatrick, which is the details of the property are provided in the report. 4 existing properties along that road were notified, which resulted in that 1 telephone call conversation clarifying the details of the letter. No objections were received. And the other proposed road naming is Davis Court in Snake Valley. Again, the full details of the location are provided in the report. 5 existing properties on that road were notified with no correspondence or objections received. It's the officer's recommendation, therefore, that council resolves to adopt Holding Lane in Glenpatrick as the road name for the road accessing CA 18, 17A and 17, Section 5, Parish of Glenpatrick, and resolves to adopt Davis Court in Snake Valley as the road name for the road accessing CA 26, 33 of Section 15, Parish of Carnham and Lot 1 of PS 738609. And that council considers that the roads are required for public access and adopts the roads for inclusion on the council's road register. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bramwell. Councillors, moved Councillor Keogh, seconded Councillor Vance. Any discussion, councillors? All those in favour? Carried. Frontline services, offices and resource centre closures. Ms Bramwell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is to seek council's endorsement for the frontline services team to attend team meetings 4 times a year in 2023 and each year thereafter. It is council's common practice to hold staff meetings within teams to build rapport and create unified and cohesive teams where everyone can receive excuse me, necessary information to have input and to have input into relevant matters and decisions affecting them. The frontline services team faces unique difficulties in holding these meetings due to the range of working locations and the need to maintain the ability for our community and visitors to attend open facilities. To allow all frontline services staff to attend a meeting together in normal working hours requires our public counters to close. In 2022, Council approved the closure of the public counters for 4 hours, 4 times during the year. To continue the practice of holding staff meetings within that team, it's requested that Council again endorse the ongoing practice of closing to the public for 4 hours, 4 times per year in 2023 and each year thereafter. This would involve the closure of the Beaufort Council Office reception and the Beaufort and Avoca resource centres for 4 hours each morning of the meeting day. The counters would then reopen at 1 p.m. When the front counters are closed, the switchboard service would remain open for telephone inquiries and would be staffed by employees from other areas. The first meeting in 2023 is scheduled for the morning of Thursday, the 16th of February, and councillors and the community will be notified in advance of future closure dates once the dates are determined. In conclusion, these meetings will be held quarterly to ensure that all frontline service staff are empowered to participate in the decision-making impacting their area of work. And it's the officer recommendation that council approves the closure of the reception area of the Beaufort Council offices, the Beaufort Resource Centre and the Avoca Information Centre 4 times during 2023 and throughout years thereafter for a period of 4 hours each time, with the areas reopening at 1 p.m. each time. I'll say, Mr. Mayor, that the recommendation doesn't have an each year thereafter, which is included in the body of the report, but wasn't included in the recommendation. I would ask that that be included.
Thank you, Ms. Brennan.
Recommend and that.
Councillor Keogh, seconded Councillor Ferrari. That's the amended motion to include years thereafter. Any discussion, councillors? All those in favour? Carried. Councillor General, please, Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, again. It's been a little bit quiet in some respects, everyone having a little bit of time off. However, being very busy on the farming front, with many farmers in the area, of course, salvaging whatever crop they can. Many, though, have experienced great losses there, and many are able to access some grant funding for that, but it's been quite a struggle for many. Many have also been able to cut a lot of hay and that sort of thing, which is somewhat a blessing in that respect. Over Christmas, there were some beautiful community celebrations across the ward. I attended a beautiful community Christmas carols at the Snake Valley Uniting Church, which was a really wonderful event for young and old. And then on Christmas Eve, as we were coming out of Mass, the Snake Valley CFA were delivering lolly bags around to the kids. So it was just beautiful what people get together to do to spread that joy of Christmas. Just prior to Christmas too, I was honoured to present the grade 6 pen to young Tom at Snake Valley and experienced a beautiful presentation from all the kids. It's a beautiful little school, a wonderful campus of the Wodie Yallock School Network. And again, I know we're all so proud of the schools in our area, but we are really blessed with wonderful teachers and beautiful kids who give their all. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Councillor Vance.
Yeah, prior to Christmas, along with the co-councillors, we had our planning day. And following that, I had a Timbertown Zoom meeting, which eventually I was unable to attend because I could not get the laptop programmed to link up with the meeting. So after frustratingly trying for 25 minutes, so I abandoned that meeting. Then prior to Christmas, once again, we had on the 12th of December, a planning day at Leongatha for Rural Councils Victoria. It was interesting to note that one Andrew Mason, who was the CEO of Pyrenees Shire, accepted the job as treasurer of our organisation, and the very next day he accepted the position of CEO of the Warrnambool City Council. So we've now lost Andrew off our board, and that's disappointing because he was a great contributor, very forthright and sound thinker, and a great leader. But anyway, I wish Andrew all the very best with the City of Warrnambool issues that he'll have to deal with. And like Councillor Keogh, I had presentations at the Natty Alex School, Grace Mortlock, which is the young lass that was awarded a pen, and then the next day at Moon and Bell, a student whose name, seriously, I have forgotten. I need a slap on the wrist, but I wasn't able to stay around for their concert. They had the hall absolutely packed on both occasions. So it's great to see that the community is supporting our small rural schools. And earlier in the day, I did report to our Manager of Assets and Infrastructure, the Wattle Creek bore needs some attention. There's no water available, and in the case of a fire, that's the first point where fire trucks will be heading to reload with water. That's my lot. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Rance. Councillor Ferrari.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy New Year to all in the room and all the community, and I hope 2023 is safe and prosperous for you all. So we got through to another year. I also attended the Beaufort Primary School concert and graduation, and I watched all the concerts from the preps right through to the grade sixes, and it was fantastic. And the hall next door was absolutely packed. It was when I got to a standing room only, so it just shows how popular that is, and that it's well supported. And I also attended the Beaufort Primary School graduation dinner, where the students that are moving on to secondary college, there's a graduation dinner for them. It was fantastic. It was up at the Goldfields Reserve, and we've got a fine group of young boys and girls, young people, not boys and girls anymore, young people moving on to secondary college. A big step for them, but they're fine young kids, and it was a really great evening. So Sarah and I enjoyed that. On Christmas Day, we prepared our usual Christmas lunch over at the RSL Hall for those that perhaps would not have had somewhere to have lunch with other people, or may have been on their own. So we had around about 30 patrons this year. So that's the most that we've had since we've been doing it. Of course, this is a follow-on from the legacy left by Michael O'Connor. So it's great to see that it's continuing, and it's great to see that it's getting really well patronised. And we had about 10 volunteers who gave up their time on Christmas Day, which is a big thing. So they gave up their time to help prepare the meal and serve the meal and clean up and everything. So I just can't thank those volunteers enough. Special thanks to the RSL for the use of their facility. They provided the facility at no cost, and it's about the right place to have it for those numbers, and you can cater pretty well in there, and it's central in the town, so makes it easy for people to get to and from. And of course, really special thanks to those businesses and individuals who donated stuff for the day. Just can't thank them enough, because the reality is, without those donations, kind donations and that support, it would make it difficult to have that day. So they donate without question, and they're very generous with those donations. So that's fantastic. And just in closing, the Pyrenees Hideout's coming up, which is held at the Goldfield Reserve in Beaufort, commencing at 12 p.m. on the February the 11th. It's a multi-stage lineup with some fabulous lineups and entertainers. It's a family event, so everyone can come along, and there will be activities for the children and food stalls, etc. So please get in early, get online, book your tickets, and make it a really fantastic day. So I'm really looking forward to Daryl Braithwaite and Casey Chambers and the Black Sorrows, just to mention a few. So that'll be fantastic. So that's about it for me, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Councillor Ferrari, if you could forward a list of the donors to the CEO, we would like to forward a letter of thanks. So
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What an amazing seasonal change from last time we met here. I think when we were here on the 13th of December, none of us thought the rain was ever going to end. Thankfully, it did on the 15th. And it's been drying out ever since. So, and actually, I can say I can get around all my paddocks on my farm as at today, which is a really good thing, depending how much rain we might get in the next 4 hours and that sense of things. Also noting, thank you to the outdoor staff. There's been a number of roads in my area where there's been resheeting works done or repair work done for what was a pretty tough winter and spring in the sense of things, and we just couldn't get out and grade the roads, but some of those potholes have been repaired and they'll be much appreciated by some of my neighbours and appreciated by me when I meet on the road as well in that sense. And I think in that context, we're also pretty close to getting the flood works underway once we get our first of our claims approved. Hazard reduction, of course, was a bit late this year because of the season in that sense and the fire danger period being declared. So I've dealt with a few inquiries from community about that. It's never perfect in terms of timing when we get our slashing done versus timing we ask the people to do theirs, but we do try to do our best. And I think we're around all the Shire now, aren't we? In that sense, things aren't missing out yet. So everywhere has been slashed. And I think slashed extra roads, a lot of the smaller rural roads have had slashed by council, which has also been appreciated. There's been a few good celebrations up to Christmas. For those of you that are looking for somewhere to go on a Friday or Saturday night, I recommend the Springs Hotel at Warborough. We've been a couple of times for a meal already. It's a really nice little place to pop into for dinner. And if you are coming over to my patch and I'm free, give us a call. I'm happy to come out with you for tea. No trouble at all. And also just our local primary school presentation as well. I attended that and that went over very well. The young Les Mackenzie Swaddling Hepburn Swaddling got the award, and she's really looking forward to high school, as are all the kids, and most of them I think are coming to Beaufort, which is terrific for this year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. I also attended a couple of school graduations, and the process of those pens being handed out to the children and the thanks and the certificate that they get really shows that we're out there in the community, and the kids really enjoy the presentation. So I'm glad we instituted that, and we see it continuing, and I hope it continues for a lot longer. Had the Central Highlands Vic Mayor's CEO meeting and a number of Christmas dinners and cuppers and chats and all these things pre-Christmas. It's been a quiet time thereafter, but we're now back into it. So hopefully we're ready to rock and roll. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's our meeting for today. I'd like to thank you all for attending, for listening, and I will close the meeting at 39, can't count. Thank you again for your attention, and have a safe weekend. Thank you.
Love the earrings. Happy New Year, Pennsylvania.